Hi, everybody. This is Agnes from No Sediment, and welcome to the third episode of No Sediment Wine Podcast.
The winner, Raimonds Tomsons.
Today, my guest is also my friend and colleague. He is a Best Sommelier of the World 2023, Best Sommelier of Europe and Africa 2017, WSET Diploma, Raimonds Tomsons. Welcome.
Thank you. Such an impressive introduction.
Because of you, obviously.
Okay.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. I think a very nice, sunny and lazy Sunday noon.
Sunday noon. Yeah. So first of all, thank you for managing your time. I know you are super busy, so thank you for being here with me, and hopefully we can be quick and efficient and talk a bit about the sommelier competitions, sommelier profession, and maybe you can give your insights.
With pleasure.
Okay, lovely. So I actually want to start with what do you think, or what is for you a sommelier? You know, some people say sommelier is only a person who works on the floor. Then some people say no, like if you know wine, you're also a sommelier. And then we now have water sommelier, beer sommelier. But I remember when I was doing competitions that you needed to know water and beer as a regular sommelier, as a wine sommelier as well. So what would you define, or how would you define a sommelier?
It's not an easy answer, unfortunately. I think if you look historically, I don't remember specifically what was the original name, but the origin of the name was someone who was responsible for, how do you call it, who is carrying some goods. And then I think it was end of the 19th, beginning of 20th century, when estate bottling started. So the label appeared, because before that it was done, wine was sold in casks. So there was a demand and need for someone who could speak about the label and translate the label to the client. Also that went hand in hand with the development of quite fine restaurants in Paris, in New York. So that is the kind of origin. In simple words, I think sommelier is an ambassador, the bridge in between the winemaker and the end consumer. And then, of course, nowadays the profession has developed in a very complex way. But I still think and believe the origin and, let's say, the original place and sommelier is someone who really works in a restaurant. Why restaurant? Because I think wine is, strictly linked with fine cuisine and wine and food matching. So that's why I believe the restaurant or wine bar is very important. So someone who is responsible for the wine program, setting up the wine cellar, building the wine list, and then, of course, very important, working together with the chef, and then recommending these wines for the clients of the restaurant. But again, nowadays we see, sommeliers working in a retail shop like here, sommeliers being someone who is representing an important distribution company. So many ways to go. But I think the original kind of main responsibility is to work in a restaurant with a chef, with wine and food, and working with guests on the dining floor.
Okay, great. I actually didn't know that historic part.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I don't remember in detail, but that was the origin, yeah.
Okay, wow, great. And what for you, or what is your idea of a bad sommelier? Because, there are good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah.
So what would you say is a bad somm?
Well, the easy answer, actually, I always believe a good sommelier is first and foremost a good waiter.
Okay.
Yeah, because we are serving guests, and doesn't matter, is it a wine bistro, wine bar, 3-star Michelin restaurant, retail shop. We are serving a guest client, right? So you need to be a good, let's say, host, right? And then, of course, comes the knowledge and experience, speaking about wine and so on. But if you are knowledgeable, but if you don't know how to please your guest or someone who is dining in your restaurant, it doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are, right? Because the guest will not be satisfied, and he will say, well, this place has not a good sommelier because I didn't feel like, I was awaited and served in the best way. So I think, the most important thing, you need to like to serve guests, to be a good waiter. That's very important. And then, of course, I think a good sommelier is someone who puts the guest in the first position, who listens to the guest, who tries to understand his needs. And to do that, of course, you can't learn it from a book. You need a certain, let's say, experience to work on the floor. And me, as you, we all started, as trainees in restaurants. We polished some cutlery. We started from the beginning, and then afterwards, of course, you fell in love with the wine and you start to study. But being a good waiter is very, very important. And that's the basic thing to be a good sommelier.
And what would be your advice for someone who wants to become a sommelier? Like, maybe what are the characteristic traits or education needed?
Well, I will put myself as an example. I think if you like wine, the very beginning could be self-education, because nowadays we have a lot of let's say possibilities and resources available on web. There are plenty of very good, let's say, websites like Wine Scholar Guild or Guild Some, even Wine Searcher. You can learn good basic quality information about any wine region of the world, and for sure the classic regions. So then, of course, I think the next step could be WSET, because this is a great, let's say, certification system to learn about tasting, how to assess wine, which is, of course, very, very important. And then, of course, from the practical point of view, try to work in several good quality restaurants, because the work on the floor is crucial and essential to be a good sommelier, apart from the theory part. So try to work and try different kind of restaurants, casual wine bars and maybe a fine dining experience could be also very good. Mm-hmm. So these are the main elements. And of course, I think you need to have certain qualities and maybe personal characteristics to become a really good sommelier. So one is a little bit of stubbornness, persistence, and the willing of learn and study, how to say, in a perpetual way. So all the time you need to study and look for new things. Then I think, the rest is just a matter of time.
All
and
right.
Patience.
Patience.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But you are a good sommelier. So maybe we know that. All the world knows it. So maybe you can also briefly now introduce us what is expected of a sommelier during the competition. So we are now going from the profession into the competition area.
So these competitions are organized by International Sommelier Association, which has been established in 1969. So they have quite a long history in doing that. And there are specific guidelines how to prepare and what is expected. So, of course, the basic is the theory. So the theoretical, let's say, exam or test, usually it's like around 100 questions. And I will take as an example the last world competition. So you had different kind of sections in the test. So I remember there was viticulture, vinification, grape varieties, history, of course, all the other, let's say, alcoholic beverages, spirits, beer, sake. So it's a very broad theory, actually. The second part is the blind tasting. And also there is a specific approach how to train and how to do the blind tasting. Of course, like WSET has, Master of Wine, Court of Master of Sommeliers. So there are specific, let's say, tasting grid as well, what you need to consider when you taste blind for those competitions. And then there's also a blind tasting of spirits, usually, identification of spirits or other beverages. And you need to name the origin, the raw material, and the name of the spirit, usually. So that is the identification part. And then the third part is actually the service part, the practical part, which is also probably after theory, one of the most important parts. And that can include actually, everything linked to the service. So decantation, champagne service, white wine aeration, and many other, let's say, aspects linked to service.
Lately, it's also been a lot of cocktails, no?
Yes.
Which is confusing for me.
Yes. So basically, you need to understand and know the classic cocktails. And as a guideline, usually we use the IBA, International Bartenders Association. So like cocktails like Negroni, Aviation, Dry Martini, and many others. So you need to know these recipes. And also, well, if you go to the semi-final and maybe final, you can expect sometimes that you will be expected to create these classic cocktails. So yes, bar culture is also a part of these competitions.
Okay. Wow. It sounds a lot and very, very impressive.
Yes, it is. And I think that's the one of the main reasons why these competitions are organized every three years, because the amount of information you need to distill and consolidate is huge. So that's why I think, every 3, sometimes 4 years, these competitions are organized.
All right. And now maybe we can finally start talking about you. So how your road started towards the sommelier profession and later to become the best sommelier of the world.
Oh, originally, of course, it was not my plan to go and study about wines. Actually, my original plan was after secondary school to go and study languages. Yeah, I was quite good in German language. That was my first language, actually, and then English was the second. Did not work out, however, so I actually went to this Rigas Turisma Skola, so a professional school where you can learn about the craft of waiter and bartender. And after the first course, I ended up as a trainee in Restaurant Vincent's. It used to be, now we can say it used to be because it just recently closed, unfortunately. So it was the best restaurant in Latvia and in Baltics. The chef was really a superstar and a very charismatic and enthusiastic personality. He actually educated the majority of Latvian chefs now, actually. And so I ended up in this restaurant, and I fell in love with hospitality, first of all. And then it was just a matter of time. I really fell in love with wine. Obviously, I didn't know nothing. And I started to, take part in different tastings. I started in the first sommelier competition, I think in 2006 or so. I understood, I really like to compete. And this is also a very good way how to set up a goal. Yeah, if you decide, okay, I will compete in the next competition. So that was a good driving force for myself to study, to keep on learning, to challenge myself. And since I was a child, I remember myself, I was very competitive. But all boys are at some point, right?
Okay, maybe.
So when you play football or basketball, of course, you want to win. So in my case, I'm very competitive in every matter in my life.
Yeah.
So that probably helped me as well. So this was the beginning in this very fine restaurant in Riga, where I fell in love with wine, and that's how it started.
All right. And when did you get the taste and the feeling and understanding that I might actually win this thing, and if I will set an aim and go for it, I might do it?
It was in 2010 in Santiago in Chile.
All right.
Yeah, I remember it very clearly because, before I went to Chile, it was my first world competition representing Latvia. So I was quite successful in Latvia and in Baltics, and the level was quite decent actually already then. And in Chile, I saw Gerard Basset winning, and I was so inspired by his performance and his personality, to be honest. And I saw him winning gracefully with the flag on his shoulders. And I remember I was always like a dreamer, a little bit like a dreamer. And I think it's sometimes good to imagine yourself, okay, how it would be standing on that big stage with Latvian flag on your shoulders. And I remember, I could probably do that, I could probably do that. The biggest problem and challenge was how to get through the quarter and semifinal on that final stage, because the final stage itself, I don't want to say it's totally different from what we did in Baltics, but final is final. Final is more about stress management, if you are a good waiter, and if you can manage to get to the final. I think a lot of good sommeliers have the chance, to shine and to show their personality. But the problem is, of course, you need to qualify through those, semi and quarterfinal. And that is the most, I think, complicated and difficult part. So from 2010, I set my goal. I should be able to do that. I didn't know how long it will take. But from 2010, I started to train and to make a serious plan when I was setting a goal to take part in the next competition. Before that, it was more like, okay, I have some time. I need to study that. I need to do that. And obviously, if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
quote.
not mine. It's not mine. It's I think it's Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
One of the presidents of USA, I think, said that. Yeah. It's a quote from him, not me.
And all right. And what was your schedule? Because we worked together, I slightly remember something, and but I want to know, and maybe you can tell to the viewers and listeners, what was your schedule before the 2023 the championship? What was your plan?
So first, what I understood for myself from my previous, let's say, competitions, I need at least a year. I need at least a year to set up the plan week by week, day by day. And the most kind of, let's say, complicated aspect of competitions is theory, in my opinion, because, as I said, the information is very broad, so you need a good time in advance to tick all those boxes, to cover all the topics, viticulture, vinification, geography, wine law, and so on. So I set up a plan. It was a simple plan in an Excel spreadsheet, week by week, Next week is only Austria. Next couple of weeks maybe is, Croatia and Slovenia, and so on and so forth. And the same like with spirits, sake, beer, and all those kind of things. So plan for theory is really important. And then even more difficult thing is to stick to your plan. Because in my case, I have family, kids, work, obviously, friends, hobbies. Sometimes you are weak, you want to sleep longer, or So really sticking to the plan was very, very important. Discipline, because discipline is the bridge in between your dream towards your goal. If there is no discipline, and you must know that, you are studying also for the Master of Wine certification. So discipline is very, very important. And sometimes it's not easy to find these 2-3 hours per day which you can dedicate for studying. Yeah. So, and everybody needs to understand. Some people are more efficient during evenings. In my case, it was very early in the morning while everybody is sleeping. And then I do my theory, and then I can do the rest of my duties. Then I was still working in restaurant on the floor. So my skills in serving wine were quite decent.
Yeah.
Of course, when you train for those competitions, it's all about details. So I would say, I think 6 months before the competition, I started to train together with my colleagues. Also, you were involved at some point as well. So it's very important to have to be surrounded by the right people who can help you, because you can't do it on your own. So you need, we can call them trainers, who set up the practical kind of tasks, who work with you. Sometimes we even filmed ourselves to see how many R's and A's and to see how you are looking, how you are maybe using your body language and so on and so forth. So that's another part. And then also, of course, the blind tasting part. It's very important to train not only written, but also how to do it verbally, So all these, let's say, parts of getting ready for competition are very important and need to be planned in advance. So time, plan, discipline, and sticking to the plan was very, very important when you do that, and the people surrounding you.
But I also want to ask you, do you think you had some specific characteristics, like traits of your own, that help you in this journey? Because I have written 2 down that I know for sure that are you, which are ability to focus and ability to blur the noise out, which I cannot. Like, I remember you were studying in a crowded room and you just were so focused in, and just you were not hearing anything around you.
I'm actually very, very happy that I have my family who is really kind of course they're supporting me, but let's put it in another way. When I decided to take part in Paris 2023, it was a family decision, because I have 3 kids, now 4, and I can't do it on my own. I need to get, let's say, the acceptance from my wife, because then, all the management with the kids, all these main responsibilities is on her. And when we decide we will do that, then we respect each other. So, and it's not easy for her as well, but it's a family decision.
Okay.
So this is the first and most important part. And then, as I said in the beginning, you need to have some kind of characteristics. I think there are a lot of great sommeliers, but maybe some are lacking discipline and motivation sometimes as well. So I was always motivated. If I have a goal, I will stick to this and I will go for that, no matter what.
Okay.
So I am very stubborn at some point, and how you call it? I think perseverance and persistence. These are the words, the characteristics you need to have.
Yeah.
And discipline. Yeah, you need to wake up very early while everyone is sleeping. Especially during winter and fall.
In Latvia, when it's dark,
it's like dark all the time. So it's not easy to wake up and
I understand
sometimes at 5 a.m., 5:30 in the morning, and to go and study.
Yeah.
So probably me as a personality and the support from family were very, very important in my journey to success. Yeah. And actually, I'm thinking now back. I was also very happy because my colleagues at work, they gave me a certain freedom. Yeah, a certain freedom. And I know that sometimes, the work where you are based, they maybe are not that supportive. They do not consider these kind of competitions as that important. But in my case, everyone was very, very kind of understandable, and they gave me more freedom. I was able to maybe finish much more early the service in order to wake up early in the morning. So I was very, very privileged from that perspective as well.
That's great to hear that as well. Okay, so maybe you already answered in your previous part about this question, which at least I think feel that you did. But I actually wanted to talk a little bit about the competition in Belgium, where you finished 3rd. Which year was that?
2019, yeah.
2019. So surely at that level, no one enters the competition just for the pairing, you entered to win. And I remember that. And I just wanted to ask you, how did you feel after that competition? And did at any point you considered quitting? Like, this is the question that I wrote, but probably not, as we were talking prior.
Yeah. What I would like to mention that also for all the sommeliers who are watching and considering to compete. Apart from the theory, blind tasting, all your skills, don't forget one very important aspect, which is mental and physical health. And in 2019, it was a quite painful but very useful experience, because that final revealed in myself one weakness which I was not aware of. And that was immense pressure, because probably before that I was not exposed to that kind of, let's say, responsibility, what I felt in myself, responsibility to my family, to my colleagues, country, friends, fellow sommeliers. I was somehow, I was put to a very high level of pressure, which I couldn't manage on the final stage. So, of course, after that final, which was painful, and I was considering to actually to leave maybe the competition. I was speaking, maybe maybe it's done. Maybe this is a sign. Maybe I should do other things. I remember after the final, when I was going to the gala dinner, I went to the men's room.
Yeah.
And I met in the door Andreas Larsson.
Yeah.
And Andreas Larsson was always like on the road. At some point, he was like, you're doing good, you need to do that. And kind of not like mentoring, but giving the right advice in the right moment. And and before Belgium, he said, you have pretty good chances and so on. And then I met him at the door. And he told me one thing. He said something like, just consider to do it one more time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He said something like, you need to do it one more time.
Hey.
And that's it. He didn't say nothing more, And then, of course, the first feeling was quite of bad, and I wanted to, go away from all this. But then I went home, of course, you wait a few weeks, and then I spoke with my wife. And I said to her, I have the feeling I need to do it one more time. And she said, okay, let's do it one more time. But then before I say yes, let's agree that Paris will be the last competition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It will be the last competition.
And it was your last competition.
It was, yeah. Apparently
You're not allowed
yeah.
to compete again, no.
And then I did pretty much the same as before Belgium. But then I went to a specific therapist.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to a therapist. So she helped me to overcome this kind of trauma, which I had from that stage in Belgium. She helped me to deal with the pressure and to find the right balance and mindset. And I went to the competition because I like to compete. And she said, well, why don't you just simply enjoy? It's not the end of the world. If you can benefit from all this, great, but your career is already good. You have family, kids. Take it a little bit more easy, Easy to say than do, of course. But I remember when I went on that stage in the final, I was so feeling good, I was waiting so long for this. I really want to enjoy this final stage and this week in Paris, all the food, the hospitality, which, the organization gave us. It was incredible week in Paris. So why not to enjoy?
Of course.
And I really managed to find that kind of mindset and feeling. And I think that was one of the key elements for winning this competition. Yeah.
Great. Wow. Well, this is a great story. I did not know it.
Okay. We need to talk more.
Yeah, maybe less about work and maybe,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. But I want to talk woman now, but not woman like like in your private life.
Okay.
But so we have talked about the characteristics and education needed for sommelier, and of course, woman can also be a good sommelier. But why do you think no woman has won European or world championship yet? What is your opinion here, maybe?
Yeah. I think the example I gave as the origin of the profession, I believe, and why and how, we don't know, but probably, as I said, it started as a profession in the early 20th century, and probably it was always, I don't know, a man's profession, gentlemen in tuxedos, working in chateaus or fancy places. And now I think just, the world has developed and the profession has developed and there is more interest. From the global wine trade, we can see excellent, professionals, master of wines and master sommeliers. And I think it's just a matter of, even I remember in Santiago, in my first world competition, in the semi-final, there were at least 2-3 women already then. And I think it's just a matter of time. There will be a European or a world champion sommelier, a lady. And I think that would be awesome, to have a lady as a world champion.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think ladies are, in general, I think they are more sensitive, as ladies, of course. And they're great tasters. And also, I think when they do things, they do maybe more strict, more into depth and details, and I believe that is probably one of the reasons they are great sommeliers as well. So yeah, just a matter of time, I believe. And we saw in Paris also Nina. I don't know what will be her plan. Maybe she will decide and compete one more time.
We should bring Andreas Larsson to tell her just one more time.
Maybe. But hopefully there will be a champion lady. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see Nina. Yeah, I think she's amazing. Okay, good. So there are a few more questions left, and then we will have a game.
Yeah.
But maybe if you want to talk a bit about your life in the restaurants, do you have maybe some fails or funny stories to share of, I don't know, clients or somebody who's working on the floor? I know I have a lot of fails in my early career as well.
I have a lot of fails, yeah. I mean, I've served corked wines on and without purpose, to be honest. One which I served on purpose, a corked wine. Yes. I'm not very proud, but I mean, the story is like that. There's this client who is really like nasty and not good, He came to the restaurant. He was very rude to all the staff, and then he orders this bottle of, I think it was at that time it was a Louis Latour, one of the Montrachets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he orders this bottle, and it was the most expensive bottle of the white wines. And and I pulled the cork, and it's so corked. And then, I'm looking at this guest. He was so rude to me, to all my colleagues. And then there is this devil, and there is this sommelier angel. The sommelier angel says, Raimonds, it's a corked wine. You need to change the bottle.
Yeah.
And then the devil says, Raimonds, come on, he's so rude. Just give him the corked wine. And I must admit, I gave him to taste, and he says like, listen, Sonny, maybe you will someday be able, first of all, to pay,
afford. Oh, really?
Yeah,
he
afford
said that.
this wine, but you will come to that moment. For now, let me taste the wine. And she said, it's excellent. And I said, thank you, sir.
Well, that kissed Paul then.
And served the wine.
He had the ability to say no.
Well, as I said, I'm not proud of that, but that was a funny situation. And I served, the lesson I learned is if you have a tiny kind of idea that, it might be faulty or corked, just change the bottle, because the consequences might be, bad. And then if the guest says, I think that the wine is corked, and you check the wine, you tasted the wine and you served it, and then the client says it's corked. I've done that several times, yeah. But it is what it is.
And the next question is a question that I ask all my guests. What is one wine myth you would like to debunk? That people believe and you just wish they didn't?
Yeah, there's so many actually. But since I love Riesling so much, and I wish that people would not say things like, Riesling is cheap and sweet. Riesling is just sweet. So the thing about Riesling is I would love that people would be more open-minded, and somehow together we all wine community should, spread the word about Riesling and change this kind of mindset, that Riesling is something, bad, cheap, or only for snobs.
Yeah.
I think it's a great variety, and we should... it's a complicated variety, we have to admit, with complicated labels.
Yeah, that's true, especially in Germany.
There is a specific reason why this kind of myth. But yeah, I wish that people would consider Riesling as a great variety, giving excellent bone-dry wines, also excellent sweet wines, and even sparkling wines, and not think as a cheap, sweet, blue-colored bottle.
Yeah. Okay, we know what you mean.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then I have prepared, it's not really a game, but it's more like short questions. They would be tips from a sommelier, or they could also be your suggestions or whatever. I was hoping, or I was thinking that this could be like a short answers, but if you feel like you want to, elaborate and maybe explain your idea or thought, then feel free. But I think I have
Let's try it.
14 or 15 short questions.
Oh, okay.
So the fastest way to chill a champagne?
Oh, well, put it in the freezer. Or if you have ice and water and salt, combine all three together, and
salt.
You will be there in salt. I don't know the physical or chemical reactions, but water, ice, and salt gives a lot of low temperature. It's very fast and efficient. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, salt. Yeah.
Okay. Best way to open wine without a corkscrew?
Well. So you need a screw and a screwdriver, and
right.
then you can just pull it out.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Or you need a key and just pull it in, as I did during my secondary school time.
All right, that's good. Most underrated wine region?
Okay, let's say Greece.
Greece as a country?
Yeah, Greece.
Yeah. Do you have most overrated wine region?
Must be Burgundy.
Because of the prices?
I think because of the prices, yeah. Of course, the quality is there, but sometimes also, if you consider that you need to pay for a regional Burgundy, probably in a retail shop, 25-30 euro, sometimes it can be a wine of, medium quality, and for that money you can buy a decent Spanish or Italian bottle. So, yeah, it's from that perspective, I think it's underrated. So, but of course, the quality is there and the price is there, and must be Burgundy maybe at some point.
Okay. Where do you look for best value?
I look in the southern regions. I look in Portugal, in Spain, in southern part of Italy. Still, there's a great region, and I believe still Piedmont. If you consider some of let's skip maybe the great names, but still, if you understand that you can buy a bottle of Barolo and Barbaresco under 100 euro, try to do that with Burgundy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Yeah. Or right. Napa Valley. Well, they are, of course, but yeah, I think the southern regions of classic European countries like France, Italy, Portugal, Spain, great value. Great value, yeah.
Okay. For a newbie wine lover, which would be the best wine to start with?
Well, New World in general, because there's more flavor, more aromatics, more easy to understand. Sometimes people like a little bit sweeter style. So I think Riesling is a great value for quality you can get for money. And again, those kind of more sunny regions, Languedoc-Roussillon, great concentration, value, price. Spain, I think, is good to start, especially having these kind of oak flavors, which are quite tempting for beginners, sweet, spicy, vanilla, all these kind of exuberant flavors. So yeah, maybe warmer climate, New World regions. Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc obviously is very easy to understand. So yeah, these kind of regions.
Okay. 3 wine gadgets every wine lover must have.
Wine gadgets, okay. Coravin, saber, to do sabrage to impress your friends. What else? Well, I mean, probably a good corkscrew. Well, I think you need to pull those corks.
Yeah.
So corkscrew, Coravin, and what was I saying?
Saber.
Yeah, saber, yeah.
Okay, cool. 3 wines you regret not buying more.
3 wines I regret not buying more. Sherry.
All right. Oh.
Well, I do, but I do not as much as I should.
Okay.
So sherry. I don't buy wine since we import wines. This is maybe South Africa.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of very interesting wines coming out from South Africa, and I do not buy. Let's see. Yeah, maybe Greece as well. Greece. Yeah, since I mentioned it's underrated, very interesting local varieties, still very good value. So yeah, probably Greece. We should look for Greece for our retail shop.
We should.
Yeah.
Most memorable wine for you? What bottle it has been? Which bottle?
Well, most memorable was my first wine.
Oh, okay.
Monastirske Izba from Magnum.
Magnum.
I think it was large, or a liter bottle or something like that. So we pushed the cork with a key. We drank it in Roya. But okay, that was a joke. But maybe from my recent memories, it was a 1961 Chateau du Cru-Bocaillou, Saint-Julien. Enjoyed with the host himself. It was from his cellar during a wonderful lunch. And it was a great bottle, a great vintage, and a wonderful memory.
Wow,
just a recent memory, from this year. Yeah. And another one, 1976 Piper Heidsieck rare bottle,
Okay.
with Régis Camus, the chef, the main winemaker, chef de cave, of Piper Heidsieck.
Wow.
It was a great bottle and great vintage for champagne. Warm and sunny and generous.
Food and wine pairing that makes no sense but is really surprisingly good. Your opinion?
Surprisingly good, makes no sense. Well, probably if you think sweet wines with a salty blue cheese.
I like that.
I love that. It's a pairing made in heaven, I think.
Yeah.
But if you think about the cheese, savory, salty, and then wine is sweet. But this is one of those combinations which works perfectly.
Yeah.
So probably to give a quick answer would be this.
Okay, cool. And next up and coming wine region or country? I think you already answered something you said.
Yeah, Greece. I think Portugal will come is already coming, but I think more and more great wines.
Okay. Your everyday go-to wine?
Beaujolais from the Reds. Yeah, Beaujolais is absolutely wonderful. Barbera. I really like Barbera. A nice Chianti.
So Reds mostly.
Reds from whites, definitely Riesling, Grüner, Veltliner. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And the last question.
Oh.
What did you drink to celebrate your World Sommelier Championship victory?
Next day we went with our friends to a very casual place And we had some casual food, very, very good quality, and we drank plenty of Jura.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, this place was just great, and we drank some nice bottles of Jura. Yeah, and it was great. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Raimonds, thank you very much for coming and spending your Sunday with me. As we heard today, you are a family man, so I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have prepared a very small gift, not the gift that you gave me. Unfortunately, I thought that maybe giving you a wine would not necessarily appropriate. I don't know whether or not you will enjoy it or not.
Yes, I will.
Maybe your kids.
I will. Nice colors.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I'm a big fan of you and your channel. I have to admit, and I really wish you all the best. Hopefully, many other great wine personalities will join and will share their, let's say, expertise and an experience with you.
Thank you. But today we were here with you, and thank you once again. I really did enjoy our conversation. I actually did not know that I will enjoy it as much because, we meet almost every day.
Yeah, we talk wine, we talk work.
Yeah, but I guess we always talk work instead of, things like these. And this was really, really great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.